including some high-profile inmates. With that, some senators are saying that something does not smell right. Let's get more updates on this story with News 5's Marlene Alcaide. She is joining us live from Manila. Marlene, we know that there's a meeting that happened over at the DOJ over this matter. Tell us what happened and what was discussed.
Yes, Sean, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara summoned Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag this afternoon to discuss reported deaths of high-profile inmates due to COVID-19. That includes carnapping convict and alleged drug lord J.B. Sebastian, who had testified against now-detained Senator Laila de Lima in 2016. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara met with Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag to discuss the situation inside the New Bilibid prison amid the recent spate of COVID-related deaths among high-profile inmates in the penitentiary. Last Saturday, July 18, convict J.B. Sebastian's body was immediately cremated at a funeral parlor in Dasmariñas, Cavite, after he reportedly died due to acute myocardial infarction or heart attack caused by the coronavirus disease.
Actually, hindi namin alam talaga na high profile yan. Nalaman na lang namin start dito kay JB Sebastian na ang daming tumatawag, ang daming nagte-text na media.
Records show the same funeral parlor has cremated almost 30 bodies from Bilibid since May. The Bucor admits there were inmates who have died due to COVID-19, but they refused to give further details. They also did not confirm if the J.B. Sebastian in the list of deceased inmates is the same person who testified against Senator de Lima in 2016. Other high-profile inmates who tested positive for COVID-19 were transferred to the Bilibid's quarantine facility at Site Harry, the very area which housed Sebastian. Their families fear for the inmates' lives since they have yet to receive any updates from the NBP regarding the status of their loved ones.
Sabi po kasi nila tumawag na lang daw kami or mag-email, pero kahit po tumatawag kami, hindi rin kami ine-entertain. Kahit ano pong gawin namin, wala po kaming answer na ma-receive from them.
Senate President Tito Soto says he will file a resolution to look into the matter as there are too many unanswered questions. Other senators support Soto's move. Senator Bongo says other than the cause of death of these inmates, it is also important to determine the accountability of some authorities. Meanwhile, Senator Ping Lacson says the Data Privacy Act may apply in the case of Sebastian, but that does not preclude them from conducting an inquiry in aid of legislation. Sean, we just received an information that Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara ordered the NBI to investigate the deaths of 9 drug convicts, including J.B. Sebastian at New Bilibid Prison. Sean?
Right, I guess we'll expect more updates as the story unfolds. Thank you very much for that update, Marlene Alcaide. The Bureau of Corrections, as Marlene said, has reported over 340 COVID-19 cases inside the New Bilibid prison as of July 20. In a radio interview, Bucor spokesperson Gabriel Chaklag said out of that number, more than 310 have already recovered while 19 have died. Chaklag said that inmates with mild cases or mild symptoms are staying in a designated isolation area at Site Harry, which is the prison's COVID-19 facility, while those who are in need of critical care are brought to a partner hospital or partner hospitals. The Health Department also reported clustering of COVID-19 cases in jails. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeres said that of the over 600 areas nationwide which have clustering of cases, 24 are inside jails. Meanwhile, the palace has left it to the Justice Department to probe the COVID-related deaths inside the penitentiary.
Sigurado po ako kung may suspetsang foul play po si Secretary Maynard, gagawin niyang full-blown investigation to.
NCRPO Chief Dave Bolsinas is in hot water yet again for allegedly intimidating and harassing a family to leave their house in a police camp in Taguig. And top cop Archie Gamboa has already ordered a probe into the attempted eviction. Ryan Ang with the full story.
In this CCTV footage recorded Saturday noon, a group of PNP personnel trooped to this old barracks at the Southern Police District Housing Association in Taguig. The men were led by no less than NCRPO Chief Debold Sinas. He instructed his men to remove the tires and barbed wires gating the old barracks. Occupants Arles and Mark de los Santos met the group, carrying documents proving that they have been legally residing in the area for over a decade now. But the situation heated up when a police officer tried to grab Arles' cell phone while he was taking a video of the conversation. Arles said the police was about to punch him, but he was stopped by his colleague. Arles said the police have been going to their house since March, ordering them to vacate the place. But last Saturday was the first time Sinas himself showed up. Sinas insisted that the De Los Santos family should leave as their father already retired from police service 2 years ago. He said the land will be used as a quarantine facility for police frontliners. And while the De Los Santos family carried with them files proving their legal occupation of the area, the police, on the other hand, failed to present papers that the family needs to leave.
Ang sinasagot lang po nila sa bawat tanong namin is sigaw at pambabraso po na ginagawa nila.
In a statement, Sinas said there have been attempts to settle the issue, but that the De Los Santoses refused to talk to PNP officials. Arles denied receiving any notice.
Magpakita sila ng papel, tapos mag-usap kami. Hindi yung dadalhan po nila kami ng harad ng napakadaming pulis and magpe-presenta po sila ng mga dahas na tulad ng malalaking baril po na dala nila.
Barangay officials also appealed to the police to settle the issue in court.
Pakiusap ko kay General Sinas sa kaya General Peralta, huwag na silang iharas. Hayaan mo, let's the court halay dumalo yung sa korte. Pagbaba ng resolusyon, mag-usap kayo.
PNP Chief Archie Gamboa said that police officers should vacate their barracks upon retirement. He's now calling for a probe on Sinas and his men who carried out the order. For News 5, Ryan Ang, We Are One News.
President Rodrigo Duterte will be physically present at the Batasang Pambansa on Monday to deliver his 5th SONA or State of the Nation address. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said a SONA from home setup had initially been considered, but the president prefers to personally deliver his speech in front of a limited audience of 50. Roque said this year's SONA will center on the COVID-19 pandemic and the government's efforts in battling the crisis. He urged those planning to hold protests to do it online instead.
Mababaliwala po yung araw-araw nating sinasabi na social distancing. Kung makikita naman na doon mismo sa SONA at nakatutukan lahat ng media doon sa SONA, madami nagtitipon-tipon.
In preparation for the SONA, all House hearings this week will be done virtually in order to make way for disinfection at the Batasan. House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano said he considers the passage of the 2020 budget, the Bayanihan Law, and the cancellation of ABS-CBN's franchise as among the highlights of the 18th Congress.
I think it's a high for Congress to be able to stand up against very powerful businessmen in the country, but it's a low na maraming mawawalan ng trabaho.
After the SONA, lawmakers are expected to tackle charter change. The House Committee on Constitutional Amendments said it will convene after Congress opens its second regular session to discuss the proposal of the League of Town Mayors. However, Malacanang says that Chacha is not a priority, especially amid the ongoing pandemic. We'll be pausing for a quick break, but we will be back right after that. Stay with us. And you're still watching One News Now. COVID-19 cases in the country is nearing the 69,000 mark with over 1,500 new cases registered today. The Health Department records more than 43,000 active cases. 4 new deaths were reported, all of which, says the DOH, were casualties from this month. Profiles of the deceased were elderly patients aged 58 to 68 years old. 600 new recoveries were also reported, bringing the total number of COVID-19 survivors so far to a little over 23,000. And St. Luke's Medical Center National Kidney and Transplant Institute, or NKTI, have announced that they have reached full capacity for COVID care. St. Luke said they can no longer accept COVID-19 patients for both of its hospitals in Quezon City and BGC. Critical beds in emergency rooms are also already full despite increasing capacity twice. Meanwhile, the NKTI said dialysis patients from other centers have been flocking to its already congested emergency room. The hospital also sounded the alarm on their frontliners' condition, with 174 testing positive for COVID-19. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Carlito Galvez Jr. acknowledged the issue on hospital capacity. He put to task treatment czar Leopoldo Vega to establish a proper referral system of patients in public and private hospitals. Galvez vowed that they will create more isolation facilities to cope with the surge of COVID-19 cases. He also endorsed East Avenue Medical Center and Quirino Memorial Medical Center for COVID-19 patients seeking medical treatment.
Itong East Avenue Medical Center, meron po siyang 97% na halos 250 beds na pwede nating i-dedicate sa COVID patients. Maganda po ang facility po na to at saka po yung Quirino Memorial Medical Center. Ito po, ngayon ko po lang nakita na napakaganda ng kanyang mega emergency room na halos yung first floor ay napakalaki ng kanyang mga emergency wards. At the same time, meron siyang 50 ICU beds.
Meanwhile, more and more homebound passengers miss their flights yet again as local governments imposed stricter requirements. To give us the details, we have One News correspondent Shyla Francisco reporting to us live from NAIA Terminal 2. Shyla, what additional requirements are we talking about here, and have we heard these before?
Sean, some local governments have tightened the entry of individuals in their provinces, aside from requiring notices of acceptance in the country of destination. Some passengers are required to undergo swab tests just days before the flight.
Roy Tan was supposed to fly to Zamboanga at 1:30 on Monday afternoon. Despite having a travel pass and a medical certificate, he still was not able to board his flight. He found out late that a letter of acceptance from the local government of Zamboanga is needed.
Hindi kami sinabihan beforehand eh. Sobrang hassle eh. Yeah, rebook for the next coming flight.
Davao-bound passengers, meanwhile, are required to present a negative RT-PCR test result issued 48 hours before the flight. But with the memo issued just 3 days before their flight, passengers like Charles had a hard time looking for a hospital that can yield results before their flight. His results came a minute after their supposed departure.
It's very short notice, ma'am. Lalo na itong mga estudyante, ma'am. Sobrang, saan sila maghahanap ng... Ikaw, ma'am, kung tatanungin kita ngayon, ma'am, anong testing center facility with a very short notice can give a result within 72 hours here in Manila now for the swab test?
In a statement, Philippine Airlines says LGUs adjust restrictions in line with health concerns, and their role is to disseminate the rules accordingly. Mayor Sara Duterte, for her part, says they won't demand a requirement which they think is impossible to comply with.
Sean, just an update, the Davao LGU will write a letter to the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines to extend the validity of the RT-PCR test that they will be accepting. So instead of just 48 hours before the departure date, passengers can submit RT-PCR tests taken 72 hours before the departure date. Now, some affected passengers are now rebooking flights, but in the future, they are appealing to local governments and even airlines to coordinate with them properly and to give them ample time to process the needed requirements. Sean?
Right, so what happens to these individuals? They are, I guess, are still considered locally stranded individuals. Shyla, will the government be shouldering their food or their accommodations while they wait for a new flight? Or will the government be shouldering their testing costs as well?
Sean, based on our discussion with the passengers, they will be the ones to shoulder their own the cost of their own swab test. As far as rebooking flights are concerned, we're not yet sure whether the airlines affected will shoulder the rebooking fee. Sean?
All right, thank you for that update. Shyla Francisco joining us live from NAIA 2 today. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You may also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.